Okay, everybody, to give us a little additional freedom perspective, a focus on liberty at a time when the country's liberty seems to be in tremendous peril, we are joined by Glenn Jacobs. He is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, also familiar to many of you, I'm sure, as the WWE wrestler formerly known as Kane. He joins us now. Glenn, great to have you on, sir.
Hey, thanks, Buck. I appreciate it.
So, my friend, first, let's start with Tennessee, then we'll take this nationwide. We're in the midst of this lockdown still. Some states are reopening a little bit. I've read a little that Nashville has had some cases, and there's been a bit of a scare there. But how are you guys doing statewide? How has your governor been in this process? Tell me, let's talk about how Tennessee's handling COVID, then we'll talk about the national response.
Sure. Tennessee did not go nearly as far as many other states did with executive orders. There was a safer at home order issued, but it wasn't like California and some other places where we see really draconian enforcement. Some restaurants and bars were closed, and now they're back at limited capacity, and some other businesses were closed. But overall, we didn't go nearly as far as other states. And we're starting to move in the other direction now. We're starting to open things back up, and we probably don't get as much press as, say, Georgia did when they did it, but we're right there with them as far as what we're doing. And compared to everybody else, I guess it's actually pretty aggressive opening businesses up and just allowing people to get back out.
We're speaking to Glenn Jacobs. He's the mayor of Knox County. Mayor Jacobs, well, the country, it seems to me, had this panic reaction, and it was based in, and look, there were a couple of weeks there where I was like, well, I guess, if we're really facing what they're saying we're facing and the way that they're telling us it's going to happen, we don't seem to have a lot of choice. But we've gone from 15 days to stop the spread to now 50 some odd days to stop the spread, although there is some, as you said, some reopening in some places. Have you been surprised by the speed and the ease with which so many people seem to have relieved or allowed the state to relieve them of their liberties in this situation?
I really have. And it's really, it's disturbing because, as you said, it went from an idea of flattening the curve so that the healthcare system wouldn't be overloaded, which is something I think that we can all look at and say, okay, that's reasonable. Although, again, I don't think that the government should be mandating that people stay inside or mandating a lot of things that went on. But you can understand for a short period of time, as you said, 15 days to flatten the curve. Okay. Well, then it went to, well, actually now we can't go back out and we can't open businesses until there's a vaccine. It's like, well, wait a second. You guys said one thing. Now you're saying something else. And you've gone, if you actually read what like Neil Ferguson from the Imperial College of London said with their report, which was the one that caused everyone to completely freak out, which was 2.2 million deaths in America. They said that if you're going to do a lockdown route, that can be up to 18 months. And I was going, wait a second. We'll be in a stone age if we go on an 18-month lockdown. That's just not possible. And even Ferguson, in his report, acknowledged that. And the thing is, too, we have these models, and the models keep on changing. And, of course, the models are only as good as the data, and they don't predict the future. I don't think that they ever really should have been used for public policy purposes. They should have been used for epidemiological purposes and look at the spread. And certainly policymakers maybe should have taken them into account. But that became the driving force behind all these policy decisions. And the problem with that, Buck, is as an elected official, I have to look at this big picture, this big puzzle of the community's overall well-being and health. And certainly this plays into that, but you also have to think about the economic health of the community. And, for the folks out there that think, well, you're putting profits over people. No, if you don't have a healthy economy, you're not going to have healthy people. And what we've done now is we've concentrated so much on the public health aspect that we've forgotten about everything else. And then we don't even know if this lockdown strategy is going to work. When you look at these statistics from various countries and compare those, we don't know that it actually works, and then we don't know what the arc of the disease looks like because of things like herd immunity. And if you have a lockdown, and people go back out, well, then are you going to have a second wave? There's a lot of unanswered questions. And we've just said, okay, it's fine. Just government, do whatever you need to do. Protect us, and we will trust you. And that's a very dangerous road to be on, and history shows us that.
We're speaking to Glenn Jacobs. He's the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Mayor Jacobs, the debt is also something that, I mean, at least when I came into conservative media about a decade ago, there was a lot of concern about the debt. Well, it's gotten a lot worse since then. And what we see going on now is truly unprecedented. You're going to end up with, I mean, no one really knows right now, but trillions of dollars of additional spending. And also, I think, and this is the part of this that people haven't factored in, trillions of dollars less in tax receipts and revenue across the board, too, right? So we're going to be spending a whole lot more money as a government, and the government at the end of the year is going to be taking in a whole lot less money. So it's going to be a gulf that's wider than people even recognize. How do you see that pressure playing out in the economy, and how worried are you about the prospect of just the United States being in the neighborhood of $30 trillion in debt by the end of this year, which some are saying is possible?
I'm very worried about that. In fact, I'm much more worried about that than I am the direct impact of COVID-19. COVID-19 is a serious public health issue. And it's something certainly that needed to be addressed. But what's happened now with the way that we've reacted is we've caused an economic collapse. That's going to end up bringing in a monetary and fiscal crisis, which is going to cause political upheaval at some point. As you said, we're going to come out of this with $30 trillion in debt. In 2008, when we had the Great Recession, the country had about $10 trillion in debt. And you look at what was done then, and this was a huge event, it pales in comparison to what's going on right now as far as the amount of money the federal government's spending. We should all keep in mind the federal government doesn't have any money. The Federal Reserve can print money, and that's what's happening right now. And that's going to have a deleterious effect on the dollar, purchasing power of the dollar, and the strength of the dollar. Currently, we're in Bretton Woods 2 is the world monetary system. I think we can all assume at this point Bretton Woods 2 is dead, and something else is going to replace that. None of us knows what that is. But that's what I see. Is I see in the end the monetary situation, the fiscal situation. Currently, the federal government pays about $400 billion a year in debt service on $24 trillion in debt. That's going to go up even higher. They're trying to offset a deflationary spiral by throwing all this money into the economy. It's going to take a while for that to happen because people just aren't going to spend money. The money circulation, the velocity of money is very low. So inflation is going to be very low. And economists and the Fed, they're just going to keep on saying, throw more money, throw more money, throw more money. So you actually have an inflationary bomb in the economy. And when things start picking back up and that inflation starts picking back up because of the huge amount of debt service that the federal government has to pay, they're not going to be able to raise interest rates like they have in the past. So long term, over the next, I don't know how many years, however long it takes, the U.S., unfortunately, is going to be in a very precarious situation.
Speaking to Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. And Mayor, to that end, I want to know what the picture is for small businesses. I mean, your county has hundreds of thousands of residents, so obviously a lot of businesses that are shut down right now must be struggling mightily. I know the Paycheck Protection Program, we had Monica Crowley from Treasury on my show earlier in the week, on one of my shows earlier in the week, talking about what PPP has done. But even she admitted, look, it's a government program. It's not perfect, but it's helping. But what are you hearing from small business owners, and what are your concerns about the ability of both businesses currently shuttered to reopen and people who have lost, as we know, 20 some odd million now have officially lost jobs, probably more like 30 million overall. But of the people who've lost jobs in your state, that they'll be able to get those jobs back?
That's a huge issue. Small businesses are going to be the ones that hurt the most by this. The large businesses, the national chains, they have the revenue and the capital to survive something like this. Small businesses don't. And even now what we're doing in Knox County and the state of Tennessee, we have the gradual phased opening plan, which is, of course, better than nothing. But still, now businesses have had, in some cases, no revenue for a month or 6 weeks. And now they're going to get maybe half, maybe 25% of their normal revenue. Businesses can't survive like that. And again, especially the small businesses, which are going to be harmed the worst. And those are the backbone of our economy. They're the backbone of our local economy. They're the backbone of the national economy. And then when you think about people coming back to work, an issue with now the federal government trying to help people is the fact that in some cases they're making more money on unemployment than an employer can afford to pay them. So they're going to want to stay on that. And rightfully so, I don't blame them, for as long as they can, which is going to cause another impact in the labor markets. So as you point out, it's the big guys. For the most part, I'm not going to say they're going to be okay because we've seen some bankruptcies in big companies, but they're much more prepared and much more equipped to weather this than the small businesses. And of course, the small businesses, that's our neighbors. It's the mom and pop shops that many of us go to and support, and the people that are involved in our community. And it's really a travesty. And one of my messages is always, to the extent that you can and to the extent that you're comfortable, please support your local small business. If you want to see them after all this is over and they're still in business, it's up to us right now to do the most that we can to help support them.
Mayor Glenn Jacobs, thanks so much, sir. I'll be out in Tennessee soon. Hopefully you guys will all be open. We can get a beer.
Look me up, please, Buck. Thank you.
Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.